Do not be sorry, be better. Kratos said it, and Santa Monica did it. In this video, we'll go over the first 5 hours of God of War Ragnarok, and as far as we can tell, you won't be disappointed. Better combat, better looking, and overall, just an expansive experience. On top of that, we'll also be covering a few spoilers that are beginning to leak by accident. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. First things first, Atreus is a boy no longer. Amid Midgard's Fimbulwinter, Kratos and Atreus are still hard at work polishing their skills. The youthful half-giant, half-god has become a combatant with far more experience. Remember when Kratos said, "You boy are clearly not ready"? Well, that's now the case for Kratos himself. As any father would, he's having a hard time accepting the fact that his son is growing up. Atreus, who is now much taller, has a much deeper voice and is rapidly becoming the god he was destined to be. Following up, the new realm alert. Svartalfheim, the first realm you visit in the early stages of Ragnarok, offers a peek into a world beyond the barren wasteland of Midgard. Despite seeing several interesting places in the first game, most of them had a video game feel to them. But now, the world seems like it has been lived in quite a lot. As we step foot into Svartalfheim, the home of the dwarves, Odin has declared Kratos a god non grata, which means a god who's unwelcome. Dwarves run in a different direction due to this realm-wide order. This foreshore community looks like it's straight out of a book. Hugely detailed homes, NPCs, and alleys pass as we sail down the river to our destination. Mimir, who is still attached to Kratos' waist, provides some background information on this realm. The dwarves were compelled to harvest their natural resources under Odin's oppressive rule or risk extinction, which led to a destroyed environment. Fun fact, Mimir took part in this decision while he was an advisor to Odin. The dialogue triggers a brand new side quest that requires us to deactivate 3 mines spread out over the map. But we've got far more important business to take care of before we do that. Coming up, why Svartalfheim? Our main reason for traveling to this realm? Find Tyr. Atreus has been slipping out and going back to the god shrines that can be found all across the first game, though to discover his actual purpose is Loki. Atreus is now capable of passing through them, taking us to a dimension between worlds, where he informs us that the carvings are a spoiler rather than a record of the past. As they prepare for battle, Kratos and Atreus seek out help. The Svartalfheim mines include both battle skirmishes and puzzles that must be solved with the game's 2 primary weapons. The game does a fantastic job of describing what can and cannot be interacted with, so you're not just swinging your axe around the area blindly. The puzzles are once again tough, but not irritating. Next up, the weapons. The most loved weapon is back. Can't wait to throw the axe and call it back repeatedly. Fighting in this game seems a lot better than it did in the first one, whether it is because of the vastly increased performance or the greater variety of moves available, especially when you compare the combat choices you had available at that stage in the 2018 game. The game doesn't take away players' access to the Blades of Chaos, giving them a flexible fighting system right away. This is undoubtedly the game's safest bet. Naturally, the ridiculously expensive upgrades and armor from the completion of the first adventure vanish into the loft, but we're so relieved that there isn't a scheme to deprive the player of both weapons. Moving on to the combat experience. Just one word, wow. The quantity and diversity of bad guys in the game is another factor that affects how much better the combat feels. A larger range of opponent sizes and several distinct enemy groups have taken the role of the conga line of draggers from the original game. The game keeps you on your toes, especially in Svartalfheim, with little sneaky creatures flanking you while you attempt to parry the bigger humanoid dangers. If you're not on your A game, this may be overpowering. However, the fact that Atreus is a lot pivotal component of the fighting experience, he lessens the burden because it's not much harder to deploy him and use your assaults in combination with his arrow bombardments. Next up, better visuals. The game's graphics are just astounding. We were stunned by the improvement in graphic quality and the game's performance in the initial 5 hours. There are a few distinct aesthetic options available in Ragnarok, including a performance mode and a resolution mode. Should your monitor or TV enable it, a high frame rate mode can also enhance each of these modes. They really have thought of everything though, haven't they? Getting to see firsthand how revolutionary the high frame rate setting is was kind of fascinating. Safe to say, the game continuously gets between 80 and 90 frames per second in performance mode with a high frame rate enabled, giving it an extraordinarily smooth experience, adding to the notion that this game represents a significant technical advance over its predecessor. Resolution mode is clearly what we'd choose. With the combination of technology and high frame rate, the only thing you actually lose is a few of the minute details. The first impression that God of War Ragnarok leaves is terrific. This game needs to be played on the largest screen you can find, since it contains more iconic moments in its first 60 minutes than most games do in their entire length. For the next segment, accidental leaks. God of War Ragnarok spoilers are leaking by accident. To prevent any spoilers, large or little, fans will need to be more guarded than ever before until the game's release, which is just 2 weeks away. For someone who doesn't mind spoilers, we'd be offended if this gets leaked. Twitter users who don't mind getting a head start on potential secrets fans have looked over the game's screenshots that started appearing over the weekend. Large-scale game spoiler leaks are becoming more frequent, but this one seems to have happened differently than others. It's not the product of a hack, and it doesn't appear like someone got an early copy of the game. Rather, as was originally reported by a random Twitter account, presumably associated with a reviewer or YouTuber, the person was automatically uploading images of God of War Ragnarok on the PS5, bringing to light several aspects of the game that haven't been covered in recent previews. Not to forget, they look dope. The Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit users gathered them together and analyzed their possible significance. Some are simply gorgeous, others might be hints regarding other game story developments. Sony doesn't seem to have started any action against the user or attempted to have the photographs taken down through DMCA takedown request as of yet. What else? The expectations are high. Ragnarok is the direct sequel to 2018's critically praised God of War remake, and anticipation is intense. While the new game is still cross-gen, Sony just confirmed that players may run Ragnarok at up to 120 FPS on PS5 as long as it's connected to an HDMI 2.1 monitor. It remains to be seen if it will be able to steal the spotlight at the 2022 Game Awards, as its predecessor did in 2018. To avoid making gamers wait 15 years to see how it all ends, Sony Santa Monica compressed the tale into only 2 games, rather than the original plan of a full trilogy. If the rest of the tale doesn't get leaked by then, they'll be able to discover it when the game launches on November 9th. Lastly, all thanks to Cory Barlog. What can we say? The guy is a genius. He asked us to be patient, and hey, guess what? We were, and now something cool came our way. Get it? Fimbulwinter, no? The director of the last game, Cory Barlog, responded to social media this morning in response to some of these God of War Ragnarok leaks that have been making the rounds online. In place of making a spoken response to the leak, Barlog only updated a photograph of filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki that appeared to properly capture his own thoughts on the subject. Many fans responded to the tweet by expressing their sorrow for Barlog and the rest of the Santa Monica studio development team for allowing these Ragnarok leaks to happen. Before the game's release next month, other enthusiasts helped one another out by sharing advice on how to avoid any potential spoilers. Don't we all just love it when a community is just together? Again, all props to Santa Monica, Sony, and especially Cory for bringing us something we all truly love. That's a wrap for this video. How excited are you for Ragnarok? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed. And with that, see you in the next one. Peace.